It is time for the Newlywed game. The studio lights shine brightly as we meet today's newlyweds. Couple number 1 celebrated their marriage 14 months ago, Teresa and Richard Davis. Couple number 2 did the I-dos 3 months ago, Laura Lee and Sonny Batista. Couple number 3 tied the knot 10 months ago, Andrea and Brian Ledford. And couple number 4 exchanged rings 22 months ago, Stephanie and Jack Lapidus. And now, here is the star of the Newlywed game, Bob Eubanks. Bob enters the stage with a warm smile, thanking the audience and welcoming everyone to the show. He greets the 4 couples and asks if they are ready to play. The atmosphere is filled with excitement because one of them will win a fabulous second honeymoon. Bob explains the rules. They will start by asking the husbands some questions. In order to do that, the ladies must go off to the soundproof room. While the ladies are leaving, Bob reminds the husbands that he will be asking some 5-point questions. The husbands must answer these questions as they predict their wives will answer the same question when they return. If the answers match, they get 5 points. The couple with the most points at the end of the show wins the prize. Bob turns to the gentleman with the first 5-pointer. He asks if their wives will say their favorite time to get romantic is when the sun comes up, the sun goes down, when the moon shines bright, or when there is people all around. Jack is the first to answer. He says it is when the moon shines bright because his wife likes a romantic mood and is certainly not a morning person. Brian goes next and chooses when the sun goes down, saying it happens primarily at night. Sonny agrees that it is when the sun goes down, joking that his wife takes her time and attacks him when he is sleepy, which he admits scares him a bit. Richard disagrees with the others and says his wife would say in the morning when the sun comes up. The next question involves the wives' families. Bob asks what the wives will say is the one thing about their family that really cracks the husband up, but she does not find one bit funny. Brian says it is her mom that cracks him up, though his wife does not think it is funny at all. Sonny says it is her sister because she makes silly comments. Richard also picks the sister, mentioning the comments and jokes she puts out there. Jack finishes by saying the sister cracks him up because she is really bad with directions. The third question for the men is a sentence completion task. Bob asks them to complete this sentence as if they were speaking. I have to be honest, my wife just does not look very sexy wearing what, but I will bet her friend who sure does. Sonny says his wife does not look sexy wearing her girdle and bets her friend Cheryl does. Richard says his wife does not look sexy in tight pants and bets her friend Sonia does. Jack says his wife does not look sexy in her pink fuzzy slippers and bets her friend Rochelle does. Brian says his wife does not look sexy wearing a lift bra and bets her friend Marquis does. Bob thanks the gentleman and announces a break before reuniting the newlyweds. During the break, a profile of an African-American great, Pearl Bailey, is presented. She was the daughter of a preacher and attributed her success to her relationship with God. She won a Tony for Hello Dolly and became a United States ambassador, receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom. When the show returns, the ladies are back on stage. Bob explains that the husband's predictions are recorded on cards. Every match earns 5 points. Bob asks the first question again. Teresa says her favorite time is when the sun goes down. Richard had predicted the sun comes up, so they do not match. Richard tries to argue that she sleeps in but it happens in the morning, while Teresa insists it happens at night. Laura Lee says her favorite time is when the sun goes down because that is when the naughty shows are on cable. Sonny predicted the sun goes down, so they get 5 points. Andrea also says when the sun goes down because she falls asleep early. Brian predicted the sun goes down, so they get 5 points. Stephanie says when the sun goes down. Jack had predicted the moon shines bright, so they do not match. Jack argues that she is not in the mood right after work, but Stephanie says she gets her second wind when the sun goes down. Bob moves to the family question. Laura Lee says her husband jokes about her mom being crazy, but Sonny had predicted the sister. They do not match. Sonny explains the sister is going to the Peace Corps and does not know what she is doing. Andrea says the family Olympics they have on holidays cracks him up. Brian had predicted her mom, so no points. Stephanie says her mom and sister together crack him up. Jack had predicted just the sister, specifically about her giving directions, but they do not get the points. Teresa says her mom cracks him up because of her unsolicited advice. Richard had predicted the goofy sister, so no match there either. The next question is the sentence completion about sexiness. Andrea says her husband thinks she does not look sexy wearing bras and bets her friend Marquis does. Brian had predicted a lift bra and Marquis, so they get the points. Stephanie says her husband thinks she does not look sexy in a bra and bets her friend Lisa does. Jack had predicted pink fuzzy slippers and Rochelle, so no points. Teresa says her husband thinks she does not look sexy in a frilly bra and bets her friend Nedra does. Richard had predicted tight pants and Sonia. This causes a bit of an argument as Teresa is shocked he thinks Sonia looks good in tight pants. Richard tries to explain that Sonia has the height for it. Laura Lee says her husband thinks she does not look sexy in a black dress she tried on and bets his mom Carol does. Sunny had predicted a girdle and Cheryl. Laura Lee is confused because she does not even know who Cheryl is. The husbands are then secluded offstage for the second round. Now the wives must predict what their husbands will say. These questions are worth 10 points. The first question is about their last mattress marathon. Did she cross the finish line first? Did he cross first? Did no one cross, or was it a tie? Andrea, Laura Lee, Teresa, and Stephanie all predict their husbands will say he crossed the finish line first. The next question asks how long it took to feel emotionally and physically involved after meeting. Teresa says 1 month for emotional and 1 week for physical. Stephanie says 2 months for emotional and 3 months for physical. Andrea says 2 weeks for emotional and 1 day for physical. Laura Lee says 1 week for emotional and 1 day for physical, mentioning they made out on their first date. The final bonus question for the ladies is what their husbands have the most of in their wallets right now. Stephanie, Laura Lee, and Teresa all guess ones. Andrea guesses something else because she thinks there is no money in the wallet. The husbands return to the stage. Bob asks them about the mattress marathon. Sunny, Brian, Jack, and Richard all say they crossed the finish line first. Since all the wives predicted this, everyone gets 10 points. Then Bob asks about the timeline of involvement. Jack says 3 weeks for emotional and 4 weeks for physical. Stephanie had said 2 months and 3 months, so no match. Richard says 1 month for emotional and 3 months for physical. Teresa had said 1 month and 1 week, so they do not match. This leads to a story about a New Year's Eve in a basement that Richard calls a hot one. Sunny says 1 week for emotional and 1 day for physical. Laura Lee had said exactly the same, so they get 10 points. Brian says 1 day for emotional and a year for physical. Andrea had said 2 weeks and 1 day, so they are very far apart. Brian is confused because he thought they waited a long time, but Andrea insists it was the first date. Before the final question, the prize is announced. It is a romantic trip to Mexico at the Hotel Cabo San Lucas, a beach resort with private terraces. The final 25-point bonus question is about the money in the wallets. Richard says tens, but Teresa guessed ones, so no points for them. Jack says ones, matching Stephanie's guess of ones, bringing them to 35 points. Brian says ones, but Andrea guessed something else, so no points. Finally, Sunny says ones, matching Laura Lee's guess of ones. Sunny and Laura Lee Batista end the game with 50 points and are the grand prize winners. Bob Eubanks congratulates the winners and thanks the other couples as the show comes to an end.